Welcome everybody to our June community chat. Again, our community chats happen every month on the 15th of the month, rotating times. And also rotating platforms between Facebook and Instagram. Our community chats are meant for us to interact with the community and let the community know more about our organization, the projects that we're doing, and any events that we might have going on. So we recently, in the past few months, have gained quite a few more followers, and we wanted to basically do a reintroduction and let everybody know who we are and what we do and what we stand for. And so we are here as the International Foundation for Autoimmune and Autoinflammatory Arthritis, or AiArthritis for short. My name is Layla Lagandaon, and I am the Health Education and Engagement Manager here and person living with lupus nephritis, and Sjogren's syndrome. And yes, we're going to go and continue on with all of our different staff introductions today. I wanted to do a little bit more of a more get to know the staff rather than just introductions and knowing what their position are. So we have two little icebreaker questions that we're going to ask everybody to answer so we can get to know them a little bit better. And so basically, we're going to say our name, our position, our diagnosis, or how we are related to AiArthritis disease, where we are living right now, or where we're tuning in from, something you're passionate about, and if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And so I am tuning in from Orange County, California, and something that I am passionate about is the Golden State Warriors, as all of my coworkers probably know. I am a huge diehard Warriors fan. So yes, Tiffany.
Somebody has their Facebook screen on. I can hear, we're hearing duplicate.
Oh no. I have headphones in, so it might be Michael. No, Michael has headphones in. Is it you, Tiffany? Michael? No, that don't. That's weird then. You, Tiffany? No, that don't. You, Tiffany? Let me make sure it's not mine. Let's see. Okay, yeah, my volume is all the way down on mine. Okay, it seems like it stopped.
Okay, mine has a big X on it.
Okay, yeah,
same. It has a big X. Okay.
Sorry,
it was just I kept hearing like 3 different versions of everything. So
no worries.
Right.
Okay, sorry for the technical issues. I'm gonna go also and share this onto our page to make sure that we're able to get more people on here. Okay, so something that I am passionate about, like I said, is the Golden State Warriors. I am a really diehard Warriors fan and also now NBA fan, so I keep up with NBA a lot. And if I were to have a superpower, I probably would be pretty basic and say teleportation, just because it would just make my life so much easier rather than having to drive or fly or anything anywhere. So I am going to pass it on to Tiffany.
Okay, and I was looking at my little notes here and I didn't know we were doing an icebreaker, so I'm really glad that I pulled those up so I could think of what I wanted to say. So my name is Tiffany Westridge Robertson. I'm the CEO and original founder of the organization that's now 12 years old. My diagnosis now, and since 2013, is non-radiographic axial spondyloarthritis. I was originally undifferentiated disease followed by rheumatoid arthritis, and then that was changed, like I said, in 2013. And I am in St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States. There's a lot of things that I am passionate about. I'll just say I really love cooking and anything that has to do with being creative. And if I could have a superpower, it would definitely be to read everybody's minds.
That's always a great one too. Alrighty, let's go with Janessa.
Hello. Okay, so I'm Janessa. I'm the social media assistant, and I'm related to AiArthritis because I have a sister living with lupus and Sjogren's. I'm also from the Bay Area. Yes, Layla is my sister. It's so weird saying her name, but I'm from the Bay Area, specifically Daly City, and I'm passionate about dance because I've been dancing for so long. And if I had a superpower, okay, I'm not copying you, but it was teleportation because I don't like to drive. I hate driving and I love to travel, but yeah, so it would be teleportation.
Alrighty, let's go with Phaedra.
Hello, my name is Phaedra Schifano. I am the project assistant here at AiArthritis. I am a person supporting those with AiArthritis diseases. I do have autoimmune diseases, but they're not under the umbrella, which we'll get into later. But I am outside of the Seattle area. And let's see, superpower. If I had a superpower, I'd have to say flying. I would totally be that person who would fly 100%. And then something I am passionate over. Like Tiffany, I have a lot of passions, but I think one of my main passions is music. I have a background in music performance and opera, so that's like a big thing for me is just music. But I'm also a big Disney fan. I'm a big kid. I love literature and history and all that stuff, but one of my other major passions is pathology, especially paleopathology, which is study of ancient diseases, and recently getting into a lot more autoimmune stuff like that. So anything with the immune function or diseases, that's my jam. So that's me, just a nerd. So
Thank you, Phaedra. Lindsay, are you free to speak right now?
I am free. I was telling everybody, it's infusion day. So I was just having my IV put in. I'm Lindsay. I'm the public policy manager. I'm in Northern California, about 90 minutes north of Sacramento. I am passionate about the San Francisco Giants. I'm going to follow Layla's lead and go with sports because it's baseball season. And if I could have a superpower, I would teleport also because I hate driving. Hate. I would love to be able to blink my eyes and be wherever I am.
Your diagnosis and
my
your
diagnosis, I forgot. See, it's infusion day, so I have brain fog. I did say I was the public policy manager. I remembered that part, but I have psoriatic arthritis, and I have my oldest child has 3 AiArthritis diseases. He has juvenile idiopathic arthritis, he has Crohn's disease, and he also has chronic recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis.
Thank you. And also Michael.
I am Michael. I'm one of the volunteer and administrative assistants. I am living with psoriatic arthritis, just like Lindsay. I had psoriasis since I was 10 years old. The arthritis took about 20 years to kick in. So I'm sure it kicked in before then. You just don't notice it when you're just active and young and such. My favorite, I think I'll go with my superpower first. I'd do time travel, just for it'd be fun. The other day I learned that somebody found a hammer from 400 million years ago in Texas. So that's pre-flood. So that'd be pretty cool just to find out where that hammer came from. So that's why I choose time travel. And things I'm passionate about, being a nerd, I guess. I like anything like the 400 million year old hammer, stuff like that interests me. So I guess that would be the thing I'm passionate about. And farming hay. You're welcome, Phaedra. All right.
Alrighty, and I'm going to quickly share my screen and go on our leadership page so that we can introduce a few of our other staff members and that aren't here. So here we have beautiful Tiffany, and then we have our other co-founders here, Kelly Conway and Tammy Caskey Brown. Those who aren't here with us right now, they're not at the community chat right now. Julie Lopez, our executive assistant. Kelly is also a community awareness assistant with us. And we have our other community awareness assistant, Eileen Davidson, and our other volunteer administrative assistant, Deanne Quist, and our our extension of our team. We have Ryan Reeves as our producer and audio engineer, Alicia, who helps us with Google Workspace, and Christina Davis, who is our talk show production and marketing expert. So they are not here with us today. Oh, I mentioned Julie. Yes, and we also have another new staff member here that is not on the page just yet, Yasmin, who is our HR expert. So she's going to be helping us with that. So I just wanted to introduce everybody and make sure that they all are recognized also, because we have such an amazing team. So I just wanted to make sure. And as I say that, I say thank you to the rest of our team for being here on this Zoom call. It's going to be our Zoom call and also Facebook Live. So thank you, staff. They will be in the comments on the Facebook Live from here on. They're gonna peace out, and it's gonna be Tiffany and me on here. So thank you. Alrighty, so we are going to get into the Ask Me Anything portion of this community chat. And just want to check in on here and see if there's any comments whatsoever yet. There doesn't seem to be. So if there's anybody that's watching, please comment in the comment section. Let us know if you have any questions for us about the organization. Maybe we can just start out, Tiffany, with letting everybody know how the organization was founded.
Okay, so what ended up happening was I was a mystery patient, like a lot of people, and I was in my mid-30s and really, really frustrated that once I did get a diagnosis, and again, it was rheumatoid arthritis, since then changed to non-radiographic axial spondy, but there was no such thing as that diagnosis when I was diagnosed, hence rheumatoid arthritis was the closest thing. And I started telling everybody, I'm so excited to have a diagnosis, only to hear you're too young to have arthritis. And, you know, you just try ginger and all of this stuff. So it really was inspired by frustration. And at the same time, it was, I made a bracelet that was passed around by bloggers on Facebook, and orders came in and started meeting people all over the world. And it was at that moment where patients started talking and realizing, as people with lived experience and lived disease, saying, there seems to be a connection between this autoimmune disease or autoinflammatory disease, where we have fatigue and brain fog and various degrees of fevers, like all those auto features, plus this inflammatory arthritis component. Maybe there needs to be a nonprofit that only focuses on the auto plus inflammatory arthritis, because that narrows it down to like 20 something diseases instead of like 120. So patients figured that out, and that's how we became a nonprofit. And our mission has evolved from just awareness when we very first started a year after. We also, as patients, realized we really have a voice and a need to be inserted into solutions that are not just education and awareness, but also public policy and research. So that's our history. And you can find that a little bit more detail on our website. I want to say it's aiarthritis.org/history, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a link from the About Us page, though.
Michael, if you can look that up, that would be great. If you can click on the About Us and then see if there's a specific link for the history. I was always interested in nonprofits as a younger teen, because I worked at a nonprofit when I was younger, and I always thought like of starting a nonprofit. I always was very passionate about charity and you know, generosity and just doing things for the better good and not just to make money. And so like I always gravitated towards nonprofits. So seeing how organically an organization like this can start is really cool. And that's something that people don't know, is that anybody can really start a nonprofit organization. And one of our collaborators that we work with, ASIF, the Axial Spondyloarthritis International Federation, they actually have guidance on how to create a nonprofit also. So I think that's really cool, and just wanted to give them a shout out.
What? What? That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I was just at EULAR, which is the European Rheumatology Conference, AiArthritis, one of the programs that we have that's super cool and novel and led by patients, is bringing you to conferences with us. Well, we were just there, and I was sitting in the room with Joe, again, shout out from ASIF, and Miranda, who is with the South African axial spondyloarthritis nonprofit. And what I didn't know was because of ASIF, they taught Miranda how to start the nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
in South Africa. I didn't even make that connection. How cool is that?
Yes, they when we were talking about World AiArthritis Day and the different resources to contribute, that was kind of one of the options that they brought to me. I said that I would definitely give them a shout out whenever I could. So I am putting that link in the chat right now, where they basically have guidance on how to create your own nonprofit. So
that is really cool. And I can
yeah.
tell where that it got inspired by is because they are kind of the governing group that umbrellas all organizations that focus on axial spondyloarthritis, which also includes ankylosing spondylitis. Some may be more familiar with that term. And we are a proud member, because that is one of our main diseases. But they've recognized a real shortage of awareness and education about spondyloarthritis, because low back pain is the #1 reported pain in the world. And so by bringing in more patient organizations who can lead policy and education, it can help with the diagnosis. So they're really trying to encourage different countries in rural areas in particular, and third world countries, to give them the tools they need to start organizations like us, like, people who really need to be able to have a voice and speak, because you can get a lot further in policy if you're part of an organized group. Then
Absolutely.
So that's why.
Alrighty, let's see if we have any more questions in the comments. Okay, I think we kind of sort of already alluded to this, so we can talk about this question: which diseases fall under our umbrella? And I can go ahead and pull up the page so that we can.
Oh, that's a very good idea. Instead of trying to list them all off.
Exactly. Let me pull it up. So we have this here. Okay, so this is our page on our website, aiarthritis.org/diseases, that will go into how we establish, like what Tiffany said, what the disease, what it takes to be a disease under AiArthritis. And it's just like a classification in order to narrow down the list, so we could focus on specific diseases that have similar symptoms. And so this is where it kind of breaks that down, of the auto symptoms, which have to do with fatigue, flu-like symptoms, brain fog, fever, and then additionally symptom of inflammatory arthritis, which has to do with joint pain, stiffness, and redness and swelling in the joints. And so with those criteria, it leads to this disease list. So we have the core diseases that are the most common. So that's basically what we are, how this is broken down as diseases that overlap the most in presentation and symptoms. And then it kind of breaks down to, they have similar, still have the core symptoms, but they have a lot more symptoms that don't also involve the auto plus arthritis. So here is the core diseases that we have: rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, Sjogren's syndrome, axial spondyloarthritis, Still's disease, juvenile idiopathic arthritis, and undifferentiated disease. So that's kind of the first tier. And then there are additional diseases under, which include Crohn's disease, sarcoidosis, relapsing polychondritis, systemic scleritis or scleroderma, which it is scleroderma/systemic scleritis awareness month. So shout out to all of those who might be watching who have scleroderma or systemic scleritis. We have Behçet's disease, palindromic rheumatism, antisynthetase syndrome, and mixed connective tissue disease. And then the more very rare diseases is familial Mediterranean fever, PIDS or hyper IgD syndrome, I'm gonna go with
Say
CAPS.
caps and
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with
they
CAPS.
can look at it.
Yeah, Schnitzler syndrome and CRMO or CNO. So we also have associated conditions. I wanted to highlight that fibromyalgia is often a comorbidity to a lot of our diseases, but it does not fall under the umbrella because it has to do with nerves and not necessarily with the joints and the autoimmune system. And these are, a bunch of the other ones that also fall under our comorbidities. I just wanted to highlight uveitis or eye inflammation, vasculitis, thyroidism. They all kind of are pretty common in all of our diseases.
And I didn't really think about this, but when we did this disease page, and you can see it says associated conditions, I think we should probably add on here most common comorbidities. That's something we've been focusing on a lot in like heart disease and lung involvement, and those things are so important. So stay tuned. we'll add that as well if it's not. No, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that is an ongoing project for the rest of the year, is our disease pages. We have breakout pages that we started on some of the core diseases here, as you can see. So if you will just click on the RA ones, you can kind of see what it looks like. We go into the symptoms specific to rheumatoid arthritis, and then a few more interesting facts and learning about how it's diagnosed. And things like that. So we should be finished by the end of the year with all of the other different breakout pages. So stay tuned for that also. And I'm going to stop sharing for now. And let's see, there's more comments. Alrighty. What projects are we currently working on? Which we, again, great segues. He just said one of the projects are the disease pages. Another project that, since we were talking about comorbidities, that I'm currently working on this month is our project about macrophage activation syndrome, which is a escalation, I would say, of either Still's disease or lupus. And it's a very emergent event that happens. And so I am doing a project to educate Still's and lupus patients about the signs, symptoms, and treatment of that unfortunate disease that does happen to a lot of Still's patients and a small amount of lupus patients. That can be very detrimental. It's very similar to HLA that happens in cancer. That basically is a response. So what happens in MAS and HLA is not part of the disease, but it's a response to how your body is reacting to the disease. So it's a big cytokine storm that causes a lot of inflammation that therefore damages a lot of your organs. So that is one of the projects that I am heavily focusing on this month. We can kind of go back and forth and name a few projects.
Which actually kind of piggybacks on also it coming up in September. We are the host of Still's Disease Awareness Day, and part of what we're doing with that will include a special segment on mass education, because it is a very dangerous and potentially deadly issue that occurs with some of the diseases. And the International Still's Disease Foundation dissolved into our organization, for those of you who are not aware, in 2017. So with that, we inherited Still's Disease Awareness Day. So we have that as well. And then I'm going to add, and then I'll pass it back to you, Layla. And since we were talking about auto plus inflammatory arthritis, we also received a grant to do something that would be a passion project, I'd say, for me, because I've wanted it to be a project since we started our organization, and it is finally here. So we're going to be able, with Layla helping at the helm as the education person manager, is information education on auto plus inflammatory arthritis equals. That's like our equation project. And then we have our diseases, but if not, it could be fibromyalgia, it could be IgG4, it could be this. And we hope that this tool will help both the public and primary care physicians and hospitals, kind of those first line people, to be able to identify our diseases and expedite diagnosis and treatment. So that one is exciting to me personally.
Absolutely. And it's definitely exciting. And I think it's going to be very helpful to a lot of people. You know, we get a lot of inquiries about, you know, I am undiagnosed. I have an undifferentiated disease diagnosis. And in order to get the correct treatment, you know, you really need to find what the disease could be. So having those guidances would be really great for people that are on that journey, or even for those that may have a diagnosis and they feel like it might not be right. That can also help them
Yeah, that
too.
happens.
Yeah, clearly, right? And so another project that we mentioned earlier and that we just finished, and you know, it's a recurring project, but is Go With Us to conferences. So we just had our Go With Us cohort of EULAR 2023, and it was amazing to be able to share the experiences of our on the ground team. We had Tiffany there with Deb, one of our longtime volunteers, and Eileen, who is community awareness assistant and also a longtime volunteer too. And so they were all able to report back to us on different scientific conferences. And I picked this one first so that we can plug that there is going to be another Facebook Live tomorrow at
Saturday.
9. Oh, sorry, Saturday. I'm like, I wish it was Friday already, right? Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And so tune in again to the same place. It's going to be the exact same format with Deb, Eileen, and Tiffany, and they are going to be doing an overarching debrief of more things that they learned at the conference and kind of just summing up their experience.
Yes. So make sure you tune into that. And I think just to piggyback on what Layla said, what makes our Go With Us program super unique too, is that in addition to letting you know what we learned, we teach you how what we learned can be applied to your own healthcare journey. So it's just from the feedback we've had in the past, is it's a very unique experience, and people never really realized until they attended or been part of our project how much the information in research is really directly relatable to their here and now, and how it has improved, the knowledge has improved their healthcare. So tune in. And if you can't be there in person, it will be a recording, so you can still add in. I will go to our Knowledge is Empowerment project. So this is like all of the projects that we do at AiArthritis. You're going to hear the word unique a lot, because everything we do is based on listening to our peers, identifying what's missing, what could be improved upon in order to improve our healthcare journeys. So there's always that theme. And so everything that we create, if we do it from scratch, is the first. So we don't duplicate efforts. We create innovative solutions that are based on what patients say need to happen. So Knowledge is Empowerment is our public policy program. It's going to become the foundation of our entire advocacy public policy program moving forward. This is the first year, and it is a 2-tier project that we encourage anyone who is not only, you might not know you're interested in public policy, because I didn't, but what the cool thing is that everything that's happening and access to your treatments is happening in your real life. So if you are having any issues accessing what you want, whether that is you have to try and fail a medication first, for example, that's something that happens to a lot of people. Knowing how to speak on that, knowing how to contact people to say this isn't fair, that kind of thing, is something that you could learn in this project. So it's a 2-tier. there's a public facing where there's all of these amazing glossaries and videos and webinars. We have like a classroom, also field trips that you get notified of, which is if any of us go to a conference that is public policy related, and we'll report back live similar to the Go With Us. But then starting very soon is a second more involved phase. So if you really want to get more involved, become an advocate with us, where you're talking to legislators, writing letters, doing public commenting, anything like that, that is also available in this project. So that is the Knowledge is Empowerment project. We encourage everybody who is interested in advocating for your access to treatments to sign up for that one.
Absolutely. And just remembering that public policy has nothing to do with politics. So if that's something
Yes.
that you're turned off by, just remember that it has to do with advocacy and advocating for what's right for those who have our diseases, and has nothing to do with politics or bipartisanship or anything like that. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. And I would like to highlight another project that we have that's ongoing, which is the RANT program. It's something that we have that anybody can participate in at any time. And we basically what you can do is go to our website, AiArthritis.org/rant, and there's a form that you can fill out there to let us know your frustrations of anything that might be going on in your disease journey. Preferably, there are some people that put random things in their rant. There was like one that we got about someone bullying someone, and I'm like, you know what, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, but you know, I mean, that's what it's there for, right? If you have anything you need to get off your chest, we are here to listen to you. And you know, we might not completely understand your situation, but we might have had something similar happen to us that we can relate to. And so this is another opportunity to plug that we are having a special talk show episode that's airing on July 2nd. That's going to be where we read rants and we kind of give our feedback or our input and relate to their situations that they are describing in those rants. So I would love to give Carice and Patrice a shout out, my co-hosts from that episode that we filmed, that will be, like I said, premiering on July 2nd. So it also can lead this into what that we also have a talk show.
I know, it's like, oh, that was easy, thanks.
Yeah. And Tiffany can talk a little bit more about that too.
So the talk show is another award-winning innovative project that we came up with in the end of 2019. We won an award for submitting it was really an idea, funnily enough, of a traveling talk show. But that was in December of 2019, and we all know what happened.
Little did you know.
2020. So it was supposed to tour around the world, and of course that didn't happen. So instead, the talk show is called AiArthritis Voices 360. So again, the 360 was supposed to be touring around the world. And we had all these, we still do have all of these different patient-led co-hosts from around the world. They were going to host things in person. Instead, we've turned the 360 into what we call 360 It's, and that means spin-off conversations. So the first Sunday of every month, we put a topic either on the table for the first time, or we revisit a topic after we've already done some work to start solving it or creating resources. And so those 12. And then from there, once it goes on the table, then we can 360 it into any form of communication possible to make sure you all have the opportunity to have your voice or included, ask questions, give advice, give your perspectives. So that can be in any format, whether it's a short video, a Facebook Live, a Twitter, Instagram post, whatever. It can be in any format. So that is a really cool project that we have in many ways that you can get involved with that. And we have well over 100 episodes. So if you look at our page, you'll be able to scroll through all of the episodes and find plenty, I'm sure, that would be of interest and help to you.
Absolutely. And I think maybe we can highlight one or two more of our projects. I want to make sure that we do highlight the JIA project and let you have the platform on that one. And then we can talk about any other project afterwards too.
Okay, yeah, so I think that's probably the other major project. And then I just like to touch a little bit on what we do in research, because we haven't touched on much in the research category. So the Juvenile Arthritis Project, it's to create journey improvement communication aids. So again, as we do at our organization, we listen to what our community is saying is missing. And then we zero in and find ways that we can creatively make solutions based on patient-led solutions. So then we work with other groups, doctors, nurses, etc. And together we create the materials, but always led by the patient voice. So a shout out to Rochelle over at Purple Playas Foundation. She is one of our co-leads on this project, as well as the Rheumatology Nurses Society. The idea is to end up creating different communication aids and associated education in a creative way on each stop in the journey along JIA, juvenile arthritis, with a special focus on enthesitis-related arthritis, which also can turn into juvenile spondyloarthritis and juvenile psoriatic arthritis because of the enthesitis, or the inflammation where the tendon and the bone connect. That's a unique feature that is associated with these, but often those patients are ignored and only the joint counts and things, which isn't always even involved so much in their diseases. So we are currently launching surveys to the patients. And so if you are a person that is living with juvenile arthritis, any of the subgroups at all, or a family, we are launching next week these little bite-sized surveys, we call them. They're only like a couple questions, and you can earn $5 US for each one, that with a total of $25. So you can do 5 of these little surveys. You can also donate the funds back to the project if you so choose. But when we're all said and done in a couple months, we will, with your perspectives and your advice included, we will be creating different tools for communication at each point. So pediatrician, physical therapist, occupational therapist, ophthalmologist, pediatric rheumatologist, every step to diagnosis, and then every step from diagnosis to therapy, with tools to help families know how to best advocate for their health care.
That is amazing. And I'm so super excited to see the aids that do come out from this project. I wanted to just quickly highlight that we do have a few aids that we have already created, which includes our clinical trial decision-making aid, so shared decision-making aid, and also our community support network communication tool. That's what it is. I was like, I'm the one who named the freaking tool, and I don't know how to freaking say it. So, okay, let's go with research, a little bit more about research, maybe precision medicine or whatever.
Yep,
I know that
that's
your
exactly
favorite.
what I was going to do. I think that this is a good way to at least summarize and wrap up, you know, that we have a lot of things we do, and you can go to our website at AiArthritis.org and look under the drop downs for the project and for the resources, and find just an array of even more than we highlighted, because we do a lot at our organization. But we say that we have these 3 pillars, and it spells EAR, so it's a real easy way to remember it. So education and awareness falls under that, advocacy, which is public policy, and then research. And we even have kind of a mini 4th pillar, which is research advocacy. It kind of ties back, and even like research education, which is part of our Go With Us project. In saying that, in addition to Go With Us, which is definitely under our research umbrella, we are partnering with another shout out, Forward National Data Bank for Rheumatic Diseases. They have built and are housing the AiArthritis Research Data Bank inside their servers. So we are able now to conduct our own research under their umbrella, and it's all going to be focused on improving therapies, understanding subgroups, and how we all uniquely respond to treatments. And that leads into precision medicine, which is the study of biomarkers, our individual molecular signatures, why some of you respond to one biologic and the others don't, all of that kind of stuff. And then the data that we collect from the work inside there we are going to use to turn over to Lindsay and the policy team and policy volunteers to go to the people who are making the laws for us that may inhibit our access to treatments, to say, look, this is why we need you to change these policies, because here's the information. So we know that data is important for making change, and we're going to be at the forefront of it. So
absolutely. And so I wanted to lead into this a question that we have here, since you spoke about EAR, of why we don't provide any support groups. And so that's one of a question that we often get, is because we do focus mostly on education, advocacy, and research, and a lot of other organizations do have support groups for the specific diseases that fall under our umbrella. So we, don't like to duplicate efforts. So we want to make sure that, the organizations that are so great at providing support, that you go to those organizations to get that need fulfilled. And you can come back to us if you'd like to learn more about precision medicine and biomarkers, about specific comorbidities that we're doing projects on, and more about like communication tools, like we said, and support tools, so that it helps people on their journey, not necessarily by having a support group, but still supporting your journey by providing you with education and the knowledge that you need to be able to make informed decisions about your own healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You did a really good job, Layla, of explaining that, because when we did start as an organization, it was in the original documentation, it was a pillar. We were going to do it. And at the time, there was a group called Arthritis Introspective, which is now rolled into the Arthritis Foundation. They have for many years. And we collaborated with them, and we made an agreement that said, we will not do support, because that would be a duplication of effort. So they agreed, if there's people who want to be more knowledgeable about their disease, or gain resources or opportunities to get involved more in research, or raising awareness, whatever, they would recommend us, and then vice versa, we would recommend them. And what's happened since then, with all of our connections around the world, and with Layla leading World AiArthritis Day this last year, we're really getting to know who has those support groups, and then we can do what we call a global network and connect you to them. In saying that, a goal that we'd like to do maybe next year, we don't know, but something in our long-term vision is we would like to have local groups, but they would not be support groups. They would be more of community engagement, community social groups, if you will. And so that kind of gives people another way of meeting with others in their communities. And if they end up talking about their diseases, that's a form of support, but it wouldn't be an official support group. You're not going there necessarily, but you are going there to meet others like you. So, and we could work with local support groups in that way. So again, not tomorrow, but that is one of our long-term goals that we would like to achieve.
Absolutely. And I am going to put in the chat, you mentioned World AiArthritis Day, and we have a very robust library of resources that we got connected with through World AiArthritis Day. And we are offering to provide those resources to anybody who's interested. If you sign up in the link that I just posted in the comments, a lot of the resources have to do with support, and do have specific support groups for the specific diseases and maybe specific areas also. So if you'd like to gain access to some of those the disease education resources, and a lot of other resources, there's hundreds of them. So you can sign up in that link in order to get more resources. So just wanted to, let's see.
I also think we need to at least mention AiArthritis Voices, which is
Yes.
our free service that you can sign up for, anyone can sign up for, and essentially it provides two things: resources and opportunities. So Layla is in charge of it, so I let her add to that.
Yes. So AiArthritis Voices, like Tiffany said, focuses on 2 different levels of participation that someone might want to have in the organization. So it can be where you just receive resources from us. We have great relationships with a lot of other patient organizations that we partner with in order to help provide you with all the different opportunities, not just for our organization, but for anything that other organizations may have going on, whether it be surveys, webinars, any tools that might be coming out. I can highlight a very specific one that I know that just came out during World AiArthritis Day is the Know Your Numbers tool. That's from Kappa and Dragonclaw that has to do with documenting your blood work numbers and fully understanding what each of those different RBC, WBC, CBC, all those different things that we get tested on, ANA, complement C3, C4, all of those are very confusing sometimes, and people don't know that you should be documenting them so that you can compare and see how that might affect your disease. And so those are the different kinds of tools that we want to be able to promote with this program. And then there's a higher level of participation with the program that's called opportunities, which are more involved, which have to do with volunteering more time, or kind of really giving your opinion and your story in order to help us with certain projects and participate in like knowledge is empowerment or other projects that we have that do require a little bit more dedication. And then if you want to be even more of a superstar, it leads into being a volunteer, which Tiffany is in charge of, along with Michael and Deanne.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I think we've covered
Everything, mostly everything.
I mean, most of everything. So
Yeah.
I think we're good. I saw another question. Where was it at? Oh, there's a couple of them. Whoa, hold on. One of them is how do we become AiArthritis advocates? One, I missed it. I saw it. And
What makes our organization unique?
Yes, those two.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you want to field either of those, Layla, or would you rather me?
So I can do the one that has to do with being an advocate.
Okay.
I know a little bit about that. So,
Okay.
being an advocate it's a very unique term to use because it's not, like we have volunteers, which also then end up being advocates. But specifically, we do have with the Knowledge Empowerment program, something that we are looking forward to doing in the future, which is having our own advocates that would, come and do talks on the Hill and, participate in different policy things that we wanted to call AI advocates. And I think that's it's definitely in the works and coming up very soon in order
Very
to have
soon.
people more involved in our policy side of our organization. And so subscribe to everything having to do with knowledge is empowerment. That is the biggest way to be able to do that and learn more. If you go on the Knowledge is Empowerment page on our website, there's something that you can do right now to start being an advocate, which is using our Fast Democracy tool to send letters to your legislators in your specific states to let them know about policy changes that are needed for our specific diseases. So we have a few
just so you know, though, if you sign up for, I didn't know this till this weekend. You sign up for that, don't be freaked out if you don't get a notification like, okay, here's how you can write a letter to your legislator, because if there's nothing happening, Lindsay explained this to me. So thanks, Lindsay. If there's nothing happening, like there is not anything happening now, you're not going to get anything. So it might be a couple months till you get an email. I just wanted to throw that out there because I didn't know.
Makes sense.
I did something wrong.
Yes, and once there are more letters up there for specific areas, you can also subscribe to the advocacy newsletter that we have that Lindsay puts out every month, and she'll let you know there whenever there's important things to know about when it has to do with policy. And yeah, what makes our organization unique. I feel like we kind of already touched on that a little bit. The fact that we make sure not to duplicate any efforts. We didn't mention yet our two biggest like slogans or phrases that we use, which is we don't represent the patient voice, we are the patient voice, because as you can tell from our introductions, all of our organization is run by patients or those very closely related to patients, and understand kind of what they go through on a day-to-day basis, because that is one of the bases of being a part of this organization, is to be empathetic, if not, fully understand what a patient is going through. And we also are very innovative in making sure that we create projects that have very innovative and new like technology, and just the innovation is the word that I'm trying to use, but very unique ways to go about a project and the education of that we're trying to provide. So anything else on how our organization is unique?
Just to, I guess, expand on what you were just saying also, is that it is always driven by the patient voice. So everything we do is based on those patient identified issues and patient infused, pun intended, solutions. And then also, we are the only organization in the world that focuses on the auto plus inflammatory arthritis. And then I'll give you an example of uniqueness, which ties back to the last question about what an AI advocate is under our Knowledge is Empowerment public policy program. So unlike other patient advocate or patient organizations that have their policy advocates, we add on to ours, which we think is unique, that depending on how long that they've been helping with the organization, it's not only about helping write letters and comments publicly, but also they are able to sit in on some of our coalition meetings, even in place of me, or if Lindsay's gone, or we have like 10 in a week. So we kind of spread that out. And it's, from what I understand, a very unique opportunity to really get involved behind the scenes of public policy. And we also invite them to, if possible, to a lot of the webinars that are only patient organization invited. They're not open to the public, and we ask for permission ahead of time for us to bring people with us. And so that's another sort of insider unique experience that shows how we really mean it when we say we want to help everybody be as involved as they want to be.
Absolutely. And I think that is coming to a wrap up here. If anybody else has any more questions, you have like the last minute or so to go ahead and do that. I wanted to thank you all for being here with us again this month. We are going to get back into talking about specific topics over the next few months. Last month, we talked about World AiArthritis Day because we were super engulfed in all of that was going on. And I just really wanted to take some time to answer some questions and get more information about our org out there. I think also this community chat will be great to get some clips from, so that we can kind of post it on other social media platforms, and just us organically explaining like what we do at the organization and all of those different things. I think would be great to kind of have as little clips. So that's something that me and Janessa will probably work on. And again, thank you all for being here. Tune in on Saturday at, again, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern, here again on our Facebook page, facebook.com/IFAIarthritis, in order to tune in for the EULAR debrief. So thank you again from both me and Tiffany for joining us, and hope you learned a lot today, and we'll see you next month. Bye.